Let me ask you something. What if you found out that a college quarterback had bet $90,000 in sports, some on the team that he played for? Would you want him back on the field? What if he said he was addicted to gambling? What if he went to rehab? What if a judge agreed with him? This week, a Texas district judge said that the NCAA was wrong to ban the quarterback for life. And now the entire college football world is losing its mind. Today we're going to talk about what actually happened, why people are so fired up, and the question I think everybody is dancing around but nobody wants to say out loud. Because this is not just a sports story. This is a story about grace and what grace actually cost. This is Red Letter Sports. Real quick, before we get into this episode, you want a free devotional? Drop the word faithful in the comments, and I'll send you a free 5-day devotional that links your faith with your sport. Drop it below, and I'll send you one. Now, on to the episode. Brendan Sorsby. He's a quarterback. He played at Indiana. He transferred to Cincinnati and now to Texas Tech. Now, Texas Tech has been making lots of headlines lately for all the NIL money they're spending, and this is no exception. They gave Brendan Sorsby a contract worth north of $5 million to play for 1 year. He passed up on the NFL draft just to come back for one more college season. And then the NCAA dropped this bombshell. They were banning him for life. Loss of eligibility, college career over. Why? Because an investigation found that over the course of a few years, Sorsby had placed thousands of sports bets totaling at least $90,000, including, and this is the part that matters most, 40 bets on Indiana football games while he was on the roster as a freshman in 2022. He didn't play in those games, but under NCAA bylaws, betting on your own program, any player, any game, any year, is about as close to an automatic lifetime ban as you can have. The NCAA came down hard, and they set their own standards at the NCAA. That was their call to make. Here's where it gets complicated, though. Sorsby's legal team, led by Jeffrey Kelser, so that's the same attorney behind the $2.8 billion House versus the NCAA antitrust lawsuit, which did away with NCAA football for a few years. They went to court with a different argument. They didn't say that the NCAA got their facts wrong. They said the punishment did not fit the crime. Sorsby has a diagnosed gambling addiction. He completed month-long residential treatment program in Arizona. His lawyers argued that a permanent ban that gave him no consideration of that diagnosis, and it caused irreparable harm, not just to his career, but his mental health recovery. Judge Ken Curry agreed. He granted a temporary injunction, blocking the ban and clearing Sorsby to play football this fall with conditions: a 2-game suspension, mandatory counseling, peer group support meetings, and ongoing treatment. And the college world erupted, absolutely erupted, and rightfully so. The NCAA put out a statement saying, quote, they were deeply concerned about the damaging, far-reaching, and broadly destabilizing ramification of this outcome. Multiple Power 4 athletic directors are reportedly furious. Some have suggested that they should refuse to play Texas Tech with Sorsby on the field. And honestly, I understand why they're alarmed, because this ruling doesn't just affect Brendan Sorsby. It potentially opened the doors for any athlete to challenge an NCAA ban by framing it as a mental health issue. The precedent here is significant. Now, I want to be careful here, because the way the story gets talked about online, it goes 2 different ways usually. Either people say the NCAA is a corrupt institution that never cared about players, so good riddance. Or they say rules are rules, zero tolerance, no exceptions. I don't think either of those takes answer the real question. So let me tell you what I actually think, if you want to track with me here, because I think it matters. I believe Brendan Sorsby deserves grace. I believe a young man with a diagnosed addiction, whatever the treatment, He went to treatment. He's doing the work. He deserves to be treated as a human being who is capable of recovery. I genuinely hope he gets his life together. I hope he finds stability. I hope he plays football for a long time. But here's the thing I keep coming back to. Grace and reinstatement are not the same thing. We've confused them. And I think that confusion does doing real damage is how we think about accountability. Grace is about restoration of a person. It says you are not defined by your worst moment. You can recover. You can rebuild. Your story is not over. Reinstatement is about a specific platform, a specific program, the specific rules that exist to protect the integrity of competition. Those two are entirely different categories, reinstatement and grace. Showing someone grace does not automatically mean handing them back to exactly what they had before the violation. Grace is not a transaction. It is not, I forgive you, therefore nothing changes structurally. And here's what makes this particular situation hard for me to get fully behind. Even with compassion for Sorsby, football is not one organization. It is not one door. The UFL exists. The CFL exists. NAIA programs exist. Arena football exists. There are legitimate professional and semi-professional football pathways where a quarterback with Sorsby's talent could absolutely have a career, where he could continue playing the game he loves, doing the hard work of recovery in a real competitive environment, and potentially even rebuild toward the NFL. Those are not consolation prizes. They are real football. They are real opportunities. The question the judge was answering was whether the NCAA ban caused irreparable injury. The judge said yes, but I want to push back on that a little bit. Is it irreparable injury to be prevented from playing in the NCAA specifically? Or is it a significant consequence, a real cost for a real violation? Because those are two different things. The NCAA is not the only place football happens. The consequences of losing your college eligibility, while painful, is not the same as having every door closed that prevents you from playing football permanently. And if we're going to argue that its significant consequences to someone's career constitutes irreparable harm, then we have essentially just told every governing body in sports that their enforcement has no teeth when good enough lawyer shows up. Now, I want to be fair, because the NCAA is not exactly a sympathetic institution. This is the same organization that spent decades making billions of dollars off athletes while preventing those same athletes from earning any money. The same organization that is currently working through a $2.8 billion settlement for essentially exploiting players for years. Their moral authority has taken some serious hits. But here's what I'll say. Even a broken institution can make a correct call on a specific policy. Gambling integrity rules exist because the alternative, a college sport ecosystem where players can bet on their own games, fundamentally corrupts the product. It is not about punishing Brendan Sorsby for the person. It's about protecting every other athlete, every fan, every program that is playing it straight. And the moment you make the rules negotiable based on personal circumstances, the genuine sympathetic ones, you have effectively made it unenforceable because everyone has a story. Everyone's lawyer can find an angle. Now, I want to close with something that I think is at the heart of all this. We live in a culture that has gotten really good about talking about grace and really uncomfortable about talking about consequences. Especially when the person in front of us seems genuinely remorseful, seems like they're doing the work, seems like they're a human being with a real story. And I get it, because grace is one of the most powerful things in the world. The idea that your failure does not have to be your final chapter, that is genuinely life-changing when we encounter it. But biblical grace, the real thing, has never opposed to consequences. It's always coexisted with them. Galatians 6:7 says, "Do not be deceived. God cannot be mocked. A man reaps what he sows." That is not a harsh voice. That is not a Bible being cold. That's the Bible being honest about how the world is structured. Sowing and reaping is a principle that's run through all of creation. It's woven into how consequences work, how trust is built, how integrity is maintained. And the grace that comes after that The verse does not say that the harvest disappears. It says there is mercy over the sower. Mercy for the person who got it wrong. Restoration for the soul. The harvest still comes. Brendan Sorsby can be fully restored as a person, a man who conquered his addiction, who built something new, who has an incredible comeback story, without being handed back to the exact same platform he forfeited under the rules that he violated. Those two things are not in conflict. Restoration of a person and accountability for a violation can both be true at the same time. In closing, here's where I land on this. I truly hope Brendan Sorsby gets healthy. I hope he finds a team. I hope he finds a path, finds a way to play the game he clearly loves. I hope his story in 5 years is one that inspires people. I also think that the judge got this one wrong. Not because Sorsby is a bad person, but because the precedent it sets. That personal circumstances can override institutional rules whenever a skilled enough attorney frames it correctly. It's going to cause problems that outlast this one case, maybe by decades. Accountability matters, not because we do not believe in second chances, but because second chances mean more when they are earned in the right arenas, not reclaimed through a courtroom. What do you think? Do you think grace and reinstatement are two different things? Or do you think the judge made the right call? Drop your take in the comments. I genuinely want to hear where you land on this one. And if you've never checked out the Red Letter Sports Devotional, it's free. It's a 5-day devotional, and it's built for people who see faith and competition as connected. Drop the word faithful in the comments, and I'll send a direct one to you. If this episode made you think, share it with one person who might have a strong opinion on it. I love to see where this conversation goes. I'm Kevin, and this is Red Letter Sports, training for life, not just the game.